Hello, I'm Mike Keenan, your host for the TAL Global Perspective. Our topic today is active assailant, or active shooter, as many people call it. And our speaker is Oscar Villanueva, who is our CEO from TAL Global. Welcome, Oscar.
Hello, Mike. Thanks for inviting me.
It's great to have you. So you have quite an impressive background, and I'd like to share it with everyone. Oscar is an international security expert with decades of investigative, physical security, workplace violence, risk management, emergency preparedness, and critical infrastructure experience. Prior to consulting and providing security advice to government and corporate clients, he had a distinguished career with the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. His career in federal law enforcement included conducting and leading large-scale investigative, security, and law enforcement operations worldwide. Oscar is a licensed private investigator in the state of California. He is professionally certified with a PCI certification, and he is also affiliated with the International Association of Chiefs of Police and the Association of Threat Assessment Professionals. So with that, let's get started. So it seems like we're hearing about active shooter, active assailant situations pretty regularly these days. In fact, it's almost always in the news. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Mike. Well, first of all, thanks for that introduction. Very nice introduction. With regards to active assailant or active shooters, it's quite alarming. In the last week or so, I read an article where in the U.S. we have passed 500 mass shootings in 2023, which is on a pace to beat anything that happened the year before. And so it continues to be a very, very alarming situation. And here at TAL Global, we continue to be concerned about this. And we have developed what we think is a good new methodology as to what to do about active assailants and active shooters with something that we call prepare, react, recover. We think it's a bit innovative, and I think it could be very helpful.
Very interesting. So you've got prepare, react, and recover. How does that compare with the current run, hide, fight that's out there by the Department of Homeland Security?
Well, I think run, hide, fight is still applicable, and it is something that people should continue to follow. The problem with run, hide, fight is that it comes a bit late in the attack cycle, meaning that by the time you use run, hide, fight, the attack has already started or is imminent. And it's a difficult situation to be in when something is already underway or about to be underway. And we believe that we protect or prevent, react, recover, we are getting ahead of that a little bit. So run, hide, fight continues to be an essential part of what we think is a great new methodology, but it really needs to be thought of in a different way. And what I mean by that is that prepare means really that you need to think ahead of time for the possibility that one of these active assailant or active attack situations will happen. If you think ahead of time, you can prepare ahead of time, and you can visualize and consider what it is that you're going to do on a personal level and also on an organizational level. Then when it comes to react, because you already have a plan and you thought about it ahead of time, now it's a situation where you can put your plan in action, including run, hide, fight. But there may be other things that you need to do when this occurs. For example, use situational awareness to be mindful of where the attack is coming from, use sound and sight to sort of identify where the problems are, and so forth. And then the recover part comes in after one of these situations occurs. What do you do to recover physically and psychologically about this? Because even if you were not a victim of violence, the fact that you were exposed to violence in this way, and it happened right where you are, can be traumatic. And there's many, many ways for you to protect against this sort of situation after the fact, from a psychological perspective, from a physical perspective, and organizations and individuals should look into how best to recover from one of these incidents that can be very disruptive when it comes to an organization and to an individual's life.
That's very interesting. So basically this prepare, react, recover actually can work in tandem with run, fight, and hide, right?
That's correct. Run, hide, fight from our methodology really becomes a part of the react part of prepare, react, recover, meaning that you still put that into play, but you're not solely relying on that. You're thinking ahead of time and you're figuring out ways that you can protect yourself and prepare for the possibility of an active assailant and an active shooter situation. And I wanted to clarify a little bit about using both terms, active assailant and active shooter. Active assailant could be anyone from an attack with a vehicle on a sidewalk full of people to someone with a knife. Obviously, active shooter is the use of a weapon, firearm, or assault rifle or similar to conduct an attack. Either way, both situations are very, very difficult, but that's the difference in the terminology between active assailant and active shooter.
Thank you for that, Oscar. That definitely clarifies the definitions. Appreciate that. So my final question is what recommendations do you have for individuals and organizations in how they can use this concept?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I would start with organizations. There's only two kinds of organizations, one that has had workplace violence issues and one that will have workplace violence issues in the future. And any active assailant or active shooter situation is actually a workplace violence situation, because in most places it's in a workplace that this occur, whether it's a school, a manufacturing plant, or any similar location. So for organizations, it's really important that they put together an organizational workplace violence program or plan that will help them with contingencies that they need to follow in case of a situation where an active assailant or an active shooter is happening. That would be on the prepare or prevent part of things. Practice, train employees, consider how this will be managed if it actually happens, how it can be prevented, and similar actions. On the react situation, the obvious question is, how are you going to notify employees that something is underway? What sort of contingencies are you going to put in place so employees have a place to gather and run away or protect themselves if necessary? In many situations, organizations will create an internal secure room where people can go and lock the door and be safe until things pass and the police respond, and there's a way to mitigate any kind of issues with that. On the recover side of things, organizations need to remember that there is a physical recovery and there's a psychological recovery as well. So it's important to account for all employees afterwards and have methodologies to do that. It's also important to make sure that everybody gets medical care as necessary. And just as important is that employees and other individuals that were present get psychological help as well, so that they can properly recover from a situation like this. And then, of course, part of the recover phase is also understanding what happened and looking for ways to prevent it from happening in the future. This is really, really important because we need to learn from prior situations in order to prevent future issues from occurring again. If there's any lessons learned from any particular situation, those should be applied to the prevention part of this, and the cycle starts all over again. Prevention, reacting, and then recovering from this type of situations.
Well, it definitely sounds like this is a more comprehensive approach than is currently out there today. So appreciate you sharing that with us. And if you would like to get more information about prepare, react, and recover, please visit our website at talglobal.com. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Oscar. And I just want to remind everyone to stay alert and stay safe. Thank you.